Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Yes, Purple Daily, always presented by Surly Brewing Company. Fans are still, I think, feeling the buzz, feeling the high after a Week 1 throttling of the Green Bay Packers. And the show is presented by our friends at TCL, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands, with a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL and learn more at TCL.com. Today is a Write That Down Wednesday, where we go out on a limb and put our careers and reputations on the line. The only show in America that actually puts statistics next to our predictions, so you'll always know just how wrong we are. And then later in the show, I'm going to be the bigger man. I have an apology later in the show. I will stand up, admit that I was wrong, and apologize for something later on.
Whoa.
But, yeah. But before we get into predictions here, let's talk about those Before I Die cans. My goodness, I was just kind of going through and collecting some of the samples of you guys showing us your cans from US Bank Stadium, those glorious Surly Before I Die cans. Mm-hmm. What a movement, the Before I Die movement.
Yes, and let the record show that with Surly Brewing's Before I Die in the stadium, the Minnesota Vikings now are 1-0 on their way to the mission being to win a Super Bowl before we die, right? So here's what I want. I want you to go to your store, the liquor store, and I want you to find Before I Die, because it's becoming readily available throughout the town and also outside of it. And I want you to have a Before I Die in front of you during Monday night's game in Philadelphia, because this is going to be the linchpin. This is going to be the key. You think it's Cousins? Nah, he's good. Do you think it's Jefferson? Well, no, he's a star, but I'm going to tell you the real star. Before I Die from Surly Brewing, which is going to bring an end to this godforsaken run of no Lombardi trophies in this town. Before I Die, Furious, Logic Bomb, it's all delicious. Check it out from Surly Brewing.
All right, let's hit it. Let's get into Write That Down and an accountability session here.
Most make predictions and then never admit they're wrong. Yeah, that's not Mackey and Judd. This is the place where we just totally own our horrible predictions.
Write this down.
And eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Write that down.
It's Write That Down.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
With Mackey and Judd.
All right, boys, here's how it works. 3 Vikings or football-related predictions from everybody each week. They must be quantifiable. We keep track of completion percentage and touchdowns. And listeners, if you want to participate, you can send us a message through the Score North app, and we'll get you scheduled for some time, hopefully this football season. We're going to get our guy, Cody, from Finch Home Solutions to make his throws down the field here in just a couple of minutes. But boys, strap in here because a lot of stuff came off the board for Week 1. A lot of stuff. Declan and I have been battling it out for the completion percentage title. Judd and the listeners have been down a peg trying to get out of the cellar. And so, Judd, are you ready here? Are you ready to be held accountable?
When you put it this way, it always makes me very concerned. So I think the accountability is not going to be favorable to me, but let's see it.
It's actually very favorable for you.
Oh, wow.
All things considered. So let's start with the bad, all right?
I like the clause on the end of the sentence. It's
Yeah,
very
well, I mean,
favorable,
you know.
comma, all things considered.
You took some shots here. Let's start with the shots. You said
right.
Wong Wu will have a kickoff return of 35 yards or more in that game. He did not. You said Irv Smith Jr. will not be ready to play Week 1. He was. I don't think he played as many snaps as maybe he will in the future, but he played. Right. You said the Vikings' first regular season play from scrimmage equals a pass to Thielen. It was not. Rodgers will throw at least 2 picks. He threw 1. Bradbury will not be the Vikings starting center this season. He was. And Irv Smith will catch a touchdown in the opener against the Packers.
Those are
so kind of a bloodbath early.
Way apart. The Irv Smith predictions.
Mm-hmm. But then let's get a couple back-to-back touchdown passes here. You said Rodgers will be sacked 4 or more times in Week 1. I'll have you know that in the regular season last year, he was not sacked 4 times in a game once. So this is definitely a touchdown. He was sacked exactly 4 times.
Did not know.
Zadarius Smith will have the Vikings' first sack of the season in week 1. He did on the second drive. Very specific prediction from Judd. You said the Vikings, so those are both touchdowns. You said the Vikings will beat the Packers in week 1. You said Jalen Naylor will make the 53 out of training camp. He was on the 53 for week 1. You said Cook and Jefferson will not play in a preseason game. I missed that one a couple weeks ago. You were correct. You said Justin Jefferson will not be in the top. Will be in the top 25 rankings of the NFL Top 100. He was 17th when those rankings came out. And then you hedged on this after saying Bradbury won't be the starting center. And then you said he will be the starting center. So classic Zolgad hedging here. But in the end, you get 7 correct predictions out of 13 that came off the board here.
And a couple touchdowns.
Interesting week for me.
Yeah, I feel like we need a post-game press conference here from Judd. Yeah. You know, what kind of went into your success this week?
The mistakes easily correctable. I'm going to look at them on film, but they're easily correctable. I feel like we just tried to drive the ball down the field. I mean, we took some shots, but you know what? Any mistakes that were made, just to be clear here, you guys, are on me. So, like, I'm going to evaluate myself. Nobody's harder on Judd than Judd. Nobody. So there will be a period today, probably from 6 to 7 p.m., self-evaluation. Okay. Going to do some self-evaluation.
No one speaks in the third person like Judd. That's what I want. I want KOC to speak in the third person in abbreviated nickname form. I want him to refer to himself as KOC. You know, KOC drew up some good plays in the first half, but KOC needs to do some self-reflection on why the offense only scored 6 points in the second half, and KOC is ready to do that self-reflection. Questions?
Third person's great. I love the third person.
Not a bad week for old Macadac here. We'll start with the bloodbath, and then we'll get to the good stuff.
Wow.
So I said someone other than Cousins, Jefferson, Thielen, Dalvin, Irv, Osborn will score a touchdown. Someone like a Johnny Munt, who was prominently featured for at least a couple minutes there. So, but it was just It was the Jefferson show on Sunday, and that's fine. I said Zadarius or Daniil will be credited with a strip sack, and they were sharks circling the water for 3 hours. In fact, Daniil was like an inch away from being credited with a strip sack or like a co-strip sack. Yep. But in the end, it was. So there was a strip sack, and there were sacks by Zadarius, but not a strip sack for either one of them. I said Darisaw will allow 2 or fewer pressures. He allowed 3, unfortunately. I said Dan Campbell will cry at some point during Hard Knocks. I don't think that happened. I think we would have seen that clip circulating on social media, and I didn't watch every episode. Mm-hmm. I said Cousins' first completion to Jefferson will go for 30 yards or more. His second completion to Jefferson went for 30 yards or more.
That's a bad beat right there.
I should have said, like, there will be a 30-yard completion in the first quarter or something, but alas. I said Adrian Peterson will beat Le'Veon Bell by split decision. Well, Le'Veon Bell knocked Peterson's ass out.
He just got his head split instead.
Yeah. And then I said Lewis Seen will start week 1 for the Vikings. So all of those were wrong. But here's the good. This was a touchdown. I said the Vikings will hold a 3-score lead or more in the first half against the Packers. They did. They were up 20 rip in the first half. Little touchdown pass there. I said Judd will give the Vikings at least 10 wins at some point in a schedule prediction before the start of the season. He did. He got to 10 about a week ago. I said the Vikings will preserve all 3 second-half timeouts for the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter in week 1. They did. Good timeout preservation. Hang on to those bad boys. I said Kirk Cousins will have a higher QBR than Rodgers in week 1, and Jefferson, Cousins, Dalvin will all play 0 preseason snaps. So 5 correct predictions and a touchdown for old Macadac. Not too shabby. Listeners, a little bit of a bloodbath here. All right, you said this is rough. Andre said Packers rookie wide receiver Christian Watson will record his first touchdown against the Vikings.
Oh no!
Drop.
75 yards, wide open, first play, drop. AJ said Dalvin Cook will score the first touchdown of the season for the Vikings. That's incorrect. Mike said Adam Thielen will catch Cousins' first touchdown pass. Incorrect. Matt said one or more presumptive offensive or defensive starters for the Vikings will get hurt in the preseason and miss week 1. Seen was not viewed as a starter. Neither was, well, Irv Smith was, but he played. So, yeah, I don't think this one happened here, right?
Correct.
All right, Trey with a parlay here. He said the right starting guard will be Chris Reed or Ed Ingram, which was true. Garrett Bradbury will not start, which is where he went wrong on here. And the Vikings starting center is not currently on the roster as of May 4th, so that was wrong. And then Nick said the starting quarterback in week 1 of the 2022 season is not currently on the roster. He said that over a year ago. And he's wrong because Kirk Cousins is still the starter. Jordan saved face a little bit here by saying Dantzler will be the highest-rated cornerback PFF for the Vikings in week 1, and he was. And let's fly through Declan here. You said the incorrect ones. You said Irv Smith hauls in at least 1 touchdown. Wrong. Zadarius Smith sacks Aaron Rodgers on the first defensive series. It was the second defensive series. Oh, man.
This one I'm really upset
And then you had a parlay Vikings win by 4 or more, which is correct. Kirk throws for at least 250, which was correct. And Dalvin would have over 115 all-purpose yards. He had 108. Oh, man, that's a bad beat.
Bad beat. Don't parlay, kids.
And then a Lewis Scene prediction, top 5 odds for Defensive Rookie of the Year by week 1. He's not anywhere near top 5 in the sports books I found. So maybe he will at some point, but he wasn't by week 1. But you did have 3 correct ones here. You said Vikings-Packers will go under the 48. Zadarius will sack Rodgers in week 1. And a touchdown prediction here. The Vikings, because this is how it works, you overwhelmingly got the support of our audience that Jalen Reagor is a starter. And so that turns this prediction into a touchdown because you said the Vikings would make essentially a last-minute trade before the season for a starter who's not currently on the roster. Kind of a loophole, but it is a touchdown at the end of the day. So congratulations.
Top 5 most vindicated I've ever felt on this show was this prediction and the listeners backing me up.
I still don't think punt returners are starters, but the audience and the jury has spoken. And so with that, Declan, you're just a shade under 37% completions with 10 touchdowns. I'm up to 35% with 6 touchdowns. Judd's up to 33% with 4 touchdowns. Listeners at 24% with 4 touchdowns on the season. So there is your very meaty accountability session here on Purple Daily. Any final words about the accountability session before we get into predictions here?
Oh, let's get going, man. I am exhausted.
All right. That's a lot right there. It's a lot. All right. Let's get to our guy here. Our guest listener predictor is our friend Cody from Finch Home Solutions. Cody, thank you for coming on the show. Tell us a couple things. When did you first become a Vikings fan? And then tell us about the wonderful work that Finch Home Solutions is doing for some Vikings fans around the Twin Cities.
First year of Vikings fandom was the 98 season. So heartbreak right out of the gate, right? Oh, man. Moss was just something else to watch. You know, every kid was running around. Just like JJ now, you know, running around with the Moss jersey on. Everybody had the 84s. Incredible to watch. The missed field goal definitely brought tears to a, 10-year-old kid's eyes at that point.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Started doing work around the Twin Cities here. Been in business for a little over a year. Been serving the Twin Cities for, over a half decade now, working for other companies, but started to go off on our own and had a great group of guys that's been really trusted going into homes and giving people honest advice about their electrical systems. Being able to help people out, that's kind of our most sincere goal, is to help people where they want to be helped.
Love it, man. Hey, awesome. Where can if people want to find out more about Finch Home Solutions, what's the best place to do that?
You can go to our website, finchhomesolutions.com, or reach out and give us a call at the office. Anybody's there to answer anytime. Go ahead and get you scheduled and figure out what we can do to help inside your house.
Awesome, man. And also, we tell our audience all the time, too, because it's been such a supportive community of Vikings fans, and I think you guys want us to keep building and growing this platform, and we appreciate that. And people ask, what's the best thing I can do to support you? And so 2 things. Number 1, listen or watch on a regular basis. And number 2, support our sponsors and our partners. And Finch Home Solutions is one of them. Also, a shout out to our friends at Minnesota Lottery, too, Judd. They have been providing these glorious scratch-off games for Vikings fans here to start the season.
Exactly right. In fact, right here, this is the big ticket. And if you can see here, it says $10.2 million. That's exactly right. That's the total cash prizes available because, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go big with the lottery's big ticket scratch game. It's so big, it has huge second chance prizes too. The lottery say I'm in. You must be 18 years or older to go big, but you can be a winner along with the Vikings.
Awesome. All right, let's get into it here. So we're going to start with Cody, go to Judd, Declan, and then back to me. 3 chips around the room. Football or show-related predictions, and they must be quantifiable. So, Cody, why don't you start off? You are under center, sir.
First one, we're going to go, I believe KJ is going to have a 20-plus yard touchdown against the Eagles.
I like it.
Dude, Cody just sniped one of my predictions. Almost
like
verbatim, man. Almost
like
verbatim.
We're there, baby. We're there.
There's an intrigue, I think, for this game in particular now about setting up Jefferson as like the guy that they're going to double, right? And like, so there's going to be this, we got to stop Jefferson. And you got a feeling somebody is going to sneak in there and do something big. So
yeah,
that's a great
KJ
prediction.
makes some sense. All right, Judd,
That's
your
a good
first prediction.
All right, I am going to stay on the JJ train here and write this down. Justin Jefferson will be the NFC Offensive Player of the Month for September. Justin Jefferson will be your National Football Conference Offensive Player of the Month for September.
Yeah,
like it.
I think he's definitely on track right now, Dex.
All right, my first prediction. Right now, the line for Vikings-Eagles is 51.5, which seems awfully high to me. And I've been riding unders.
The total is 51.
The total for Vikings-Eagles is 51.
I was like, well, that's a lot of Vikings optimism there. 51-point favorites.
And Philly scored
the
38 at Detroit,
That's
so
true.
that's probably helping establish that line.
But I'm riding the under there. Vikings-Eagles will be under 51.5 points in week 2. Under 51.5.
I think I'm with Declan on this one. Yeah, that's a lot of, whoa, the Eagles just scored a bunch of points. And look at the Vikings offense in the first half. And at the end of the day, now these teams both have a ton of film from week 1. That's the thing about the Vikings, too, that, not to temper optimism too much, but the Packers had really nothing to look at. There wasn't any meaningful film from Kevin O'Connell's offense with these players plugged into it. And so, you shouldn't be that shocked that, we're going to run Justin Jefferson on a bunch of crossing routes, so you might want to cover him.
But how much have opponents seen now? And what are they going to be rope-a-doped into thinking? Oh, it's going to be all 18. We got to worry about 18. That's where it gets interesting.
All right, yeah. So I'm gonna alter my KJ. I had a KJ Osborn touchdown prediction. I'm just gonna go with this one. KJ Osborn will have a 30-yard reception or more in this game. 30-yard reception or more. I think he's gonna. He's a great downfield threat. I could see him coming across on a drag route, catch the ball 14 yards from the line of scrimmage, run for another 16. Yeah, some yakety yak, something like that. All right, Cody from Finch Home Solutions, your second prediction.
I'm going to go a season-long play here. I believe the defense is going to continue to keep on playing the way that it does, and I think Ed Donatel is going to earn having his name tossed in the head coaching hunt for next season round. Might not might get an interview, but not a job. But he'll get his name tossed in because of the way we perform.
So we'll say an interview of some kind. For Ed Donatel.
Right.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that for sure.
I like it.
Judd.
All right, I am going to pivot for who's going to catch passes, and more importantly, in this case, touchdown passes Monday night in Philadelphia. Write this down. Irv Smith will catch at least one touchdown pass on Monday night.
It's going to keep going back to that Irv Smith well.
Yes, I'm going to go back to the Irv Smith well because I think there's something there. And if you are the Eagles and you sit down and watch the film, right? Irv Smith barely played a role. You're thinking, oh, wow, that's not. So I think
you think they're prepping for Johnny Munt? What percentage of the Eagles week is just obsessing over Johnny Munt?
You know what? You make fun of Johnny Munt all you want. In the spring, I told you about him. In the spring.
That's what I would do if I was the Eagles head coach or offensive coordinator, Nick Sirianni, whatever. I would be, all right, men, I'd have a silhouette on the screen, a silhouette in a Vikings uniform. Men, this is the number one man we must account for defensively. This is a man who is explosive, a man who got the ball early and often in that game against the Packers on Sunday.
Laugh all
and
you want.
a man that will determine whether we win this game or not. And I would remove the silhouette, and instead of Justin Jefferson, it is Johnny Munt on the screen.
Johnny Munt is one of my all-time favorite Vikings names. I love that name.
It is a great name.
It's just a great name.
Yes. All right, Declan. We back to Declan here.
Yep, it's my second prediction here. I will say Kirk Cousins. I'm going to backdoor my way into this. Kirk Cousins will throw touchdowns to 2 players who haven't received touchdowns yet. So basically what I'm saying is he's going to throw 2 touchdowns to someone that's not named Justin Jefferson against the Eagles.
So it's got to be 2 separate players, right?
2 separate players.
And it's just to be perfectly clear, Monday night only.
Yeah, Monday night only. Yes.
Okay. I don't want the fans coming back on Twitter again and being like, he said, that applies to week 6. Okay.
This is probably a touchdown, right? Because like throwing 2 touchdowns isn't a guarantee. Like that's kind of the
I have no problem
line
with that.
is like 2 touchdowns.
I just want to make sure that we get every phrase right with Declan now.
So he doesn't get mad at us.
So we don't get poured on by all these people who are like, you guys are cheating
wrong.
Declan.
Yeah,
you guys are cheating Declan. You're wrong. Okay, I just want to make sure all the verbiage is right.
We're trying to hold Declan back. We're just jealous of his youthful success. All right, my second prediction here. Old Kirky boy. The one thing we didn't saw a lot of things from Kirk on Sunday. We saw shuffling in the pocket. We saw climbing the pocket. We saw accuracy on crossing routes, which is a big thing. If you have an inaccurate quarterback that's put in the football, even like 3 inches on the backside of a crossing route wide receiver, you're not going to get the yak, right? So he did all these things, but the thing that he didn't do, and it's not his fault, fourth quarter comeback, Kirk. We didn't see fourth quarter comeback. We didn't see the secondary slayer in the fourth quarter. We didn't see any of these versions of Kirk, all right? Write this down. Kirk Cousins will bring the Vikings from behind in the fourth quarter to tie or take the lead. I'm not guaranteeing victory for the Vikings, but at some point in the fourth quarter, I'll just say this. The Vikings offense will tie or take the lead.
Yeah.
Just fourth quarter. Okay.
However much lifting Kirk does is subjective. So, yes, that's the prediction. Fair. All right, back to Cody from Finch Home Solutions. Your third and final prediction.
Third and final, we're going to go with a little bit of collaboration. Speaking with one of my buddies last night, Dave Madison, we were sitting here talking about, let's have a big prediction. What are we really going to do? We're going to go the Vikings make it to the NFC title game and win by 2 scores for a trip to the Super Bowl.
Whoa.
You heard it here first.
Oh, my God. Cody, are you okay, man?
This is going to be really sad.
The Kool-Aid has me going.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's going to be a sad day, the day after Championship Sunday or the Wednesday after Championship Sunday, when the Vikings win the NFC Championship game by 6 points to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl, and we have to buzz you for an incorrect prediction, but I'm sure you'll be okay with it.
Play the clip again. Here we are, right?
Amazing. Oh. Well, Cody, we've talked about Finch Home Solutions, and we appreciate your partnership. Since you've got this life-changing platform right now on Purple Daily today, is there anyone in your life that you'd like to thank that brought you to this pinnacle moment?
Just like to thank you guys for the opportunity and my entire crew. I would not be where I'm at today without having the guys that I'm sending into homes who are absolutely professional and treat people the way that they should be treated. My wife at home, Dawn, she's holds things together for us. You got to have that backbone there. There it is. So awesome. Just pretty grateful about life where we're at. That's in general. So thank you guys for the opportunity.
Great stuff, Cody. Thank you, and we'll do it again sometime. Good luck on your predictions, sir.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
See ya.
All right, there is Cody from Finch Home Solutions. Great stuff there. All right, Judd, let's round it out.
All right. Greg Joseph will make a field goal of 60 yards or more this season.
Ooh.
So he's at 56 now. He was making them from 60 in training camp. Looks absolutely fantastic. Definitely has the leg. So I'm going to predict that during the course of this season, he will make a field goal that will be 60 or more yards. Late game probably, or late half, but
yeah, I'm thinking maybe the Vikings are facing like a 4th and 5 around midfield in the fourth quarter, trailing by a point.
Yep.
And Kevin O'Connell sits on 3 timeouts and just awkwardly runs the clock down to about 20 seconds. And then Greg Joseph knocks in the 60-yard field goal.
I didn't say 64 yards, but it could be more. I mean, the man's leg. I mean, he's got a booming leg. Okay.
Well, I got to go find these Hackett quotes. So he apologized.
Well,
after
he
doubling
said,
down.
I should have definitely,
Yeah,
we
you
should
dumbass.
have Russell Wilson.
And calling timeouts in victory formation against
Yeah.
you. Like, come on, dude.
No, he's
and
a
then
train
I think,
wreck.
And then he screwed up. I think he thought he had 3 and only had 2. It's like, buddy,
Well,
Dude,
he's
bullet
so
dodge.
just let the game end. Yes.
his
My God.
post-game presser, he was so hyper too that I think that he just gets caught up in the whole thing, which is absolute football death. You cannot get caught up in that. That is seriously, you
bad.
can't
It
get
is.
like
Football
all
death.
out of
Love it.
sorts.
That was bad. All right, Dex, your
All
third.
right, my final prediction, another touchdown throw here. Vikings are 1-0, and in my mock schedule prediction, I told you they're going to go 4-0. So I'm going to put it quantifiable right there. The Vikings win their next 3 games, and they will be 4-0.
All right.
All right, Declan's been adamant. He's been adamant.
Me and
touchdown
Colin
pass.
Coward, we were the ones that have Vikings at 3.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
me and
you
Colin
and
Coward
Coward.
against the world. What could go wrong? You know, seriously.
Just a couple of sports guys who drink Vikings Kool-Aid.
Darn near the same paycheck too, I think.
All right. Yes, very close. Well, a couple comma differences potentially there, but Dex has time in his career. All right, you know what? I have faith in an Ed Ingram bounce back. So he was train wrecky, especially in the first half in pass protection. I think he allowed like 5 pressures or something. So according to Pro Football Focus, Ed Ingram will allow 2 or fewer pressures against the Eagles. So he will cut down. I think he had one of the worst. He had one of the worst. I think he had in true passing sets. So when
Yeah,
you're
it was
not
low.
running like trickery, he had like a 2.5 grade out of 100 in pass protection.
Correct.
He's better than that. Second round pick, LSU, great training camp. This isn't an Oli Udo situation, so it might have just been first game, got to figure it out. So Ed Ingram, 2 or fewer pressures in a bounce back performance.
And Clark is tough too. I mean that was an incredibly tough first game.
Yeah.
In Ingram's defense.
Yes. Yes. All right. So there it is. Those are your write that down predictions here. Every week we put our reputations, careers on the line. When are you guys going to admit that you were wrong? Huh? Hey, Mackey. Hey, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to double down right now. So we just went through accountability session, everything. I'm going to admit that I was wrong about something, and I will formally apologize to those of you who I may have hurt. And Judd, you're welcome to come with me on this. I don't want to force you into something you're not comfortable with.
Okay.
But this
Well, I gotta hear it.
upcoming apology is presented by our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. Okay, it's risky when you're putting your reputation. You're on a microphone for hours a day.
They
and
don't
you're
want to
just
be tied to
spewing
your
dicks.
apology.
Okay.
They're not
They're
sorry about
insurance.
anything. They're great.
Their
I need-
teamwork.
I need some hot take insurance.
Yeah.
is what I need. And Federated is here for over 100 years, based in Owatonna. They are one of us, so to speak. They've been supporters of Minnesota sports teams, and they're just all about relationship building and risk management. You can find all sorts of tools and resources, and find out who your Federated marketing rep is at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. Also, quickly before we get into this, I'm just delaying my apology now, but
Yeah, what are we doing here?
Judd, why don't you tell the audience about your weight loss journey and how you have gone from being a right guard like Ed Ingram to being
Yep.
a slot cornerback like Chandon Sullivan the last year?
I will, and that comes down to my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers who have helped me take off 40 pounds. And most importantly now, maintaining the weight loss, which is the toughest thing. Dawn came to me a while back and she specifically said, I'd like to lose weight too. She joined 16 plus pounds down. We had a write that down guest just now on the original Mackey and Judd show.
Justin in Rochester, man.
Justin in Rochester said, hold on a second.
I know you remember his name.
I was going to say Justin, but that's okay.
Hello.
No, you know what? It's better to play like I didn't. But anyway, he came on and said, you know what? I'd like to talk about this because I'm down 45 pounds. Chris Ron, the guy who sold this ad spot, he said, you know what? I'm joining too. He's now down nearly 10 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, Livia works. It's that simple. And again, maintaining the weight loss is the absolute key. And now you're saying, well, Judd, this is exciting. What's going on there? And I'm going to tell you right now, first 8 weeks for free right now. That's right. First 8 weeks for free. Imagine the weight that can come off and the clothes that can fit within 8 weeks. And those 8 weeks are free. 855 go LIVEA. Livia, LIVEA.com. Inside or outside the state. If you're in town here, you can certainly go in and talk to the nutritionists and dietitians. If you're not, guess what? Virtual visits from anywhere in the country. Livia.com. join the growing list of people who can say, you know what, I've lost weight because of Olivia.
All right, again, you are welcome to come with me on this apology journey, or you are welcome to sit
Don't
back.
you have another spot to get to put
Cowardice.
this off some more? I'd like to talk about just something else.
Yeah. So when the Vikings fired Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman, I said a couple things that were, in retrospect, very wrong. I think I tweeted out there is now a 100% chance that the Vikings will trade Kirk Cousins, because why would you want to come in here and hitch your wagon to one of the highest bloated contract quarterbacks, who's a good quarterback, but has no proven record of being able to lead a team to 12 wins or deep in the playoffs. He's 33, going to be 34. Why would a new regime come in here and keep him around and let alone extend him? I beat that drum for weeks back in December, January, early February. And then I was part of the conversation on this show that was headed toward this is probably the time to reset here, that you got some veterans that are over the age of 30 that have big contracts. Can you get a second-round pick for Harrison Smith? A third? Can you grow your draft capital and expedite what is inevitable, a rebuild at some point here? Because, if this team hadn't surfaced above 500 in the previous 2 years with a lot of the same pieces, how much of a difference can a culture change and a scheme make when you're still fighting some of these forces? And so, I was a little bit on the fence, maybe more compared to you, but I was definitely more on the side of, I think it makes sense to hit the reset button and just rip the Band-Aid off. And there's no way that they actually continue forward with Kirk Cousins. I was wrong about both, obviously. And I think week one showed you, whether they continue on a week-to-week basis with this, week one showed you what a culture change and what a brilliant offensive-minded coach can do on this field at US Bank Stadium. What they did in the first half was so refreshing. We've barely seen anything like that in the last several years, with Mike Zimmer and the Kubiaks playing close to the vest football, right? Run the ball as much as possible. And so the Vikings have proved, again, maybe they've finished with 8 or 9 wins again, but they showed you in week one what's possible. The vibe throughout the entire offseason and the way that players are buying into what Kevin O'Connell is selling, I was wrong to suggest that running it back largely was an incorrect move. They have tapped into something here, and now they have to continue it forward. But I was wrong, and I apologize to those Vikings fans as the CEO of Vikings Twitter, who I may have offended. Yeah. Okay.
Is this coming from the board or from you? Because I'm just curious if you were forced.
Is the board making me apologize? Is that what you?
Is your right or left arm right now tied behind your back and being twisted until this apology was made?
Listen, the board was adamant that I look in the mirror and do some self-reflection.
This is the tough thing about working for a board. You're under the pressure on you is immense.
It is. I barely sleep, okay? I sit here and think about my Vikings takes, and I think about all the things. I take this I take this microphone and this platform with a great deal of responsibility, okay? And I am willing to admit that going into a rebuild, knowing what we are seeing right now, and it's been one game, so again, who knows what's going to happen against Philadelphia, but it looks like this thing is going to be fairly sustainable to the point where they're going to make the playoffs. I think they have a fairly weak schedule, and trying again with a different leader, as long as they pick the right leader. I don't know if Nathaniel Hackett was the guy they picked, maybe this is different, but it looks like they picked the right guy. And so the Wilfs were right in their instinct to try again with new leadership. And I was wrong. Wrong.
All right.
Wrong.
Good for you.
Judd, it's now your turn.
You know what I feel like this week is? I feel like this week is a week of optimism. It's a very nice win. It was a fun game. There's a chance that they can at least go in to a very tough environment in Philadelphia and win. So you know what? I'm going to abstain. I'm going to abstain because I'm not going to apologize, and I don't feel bad about my thoughts. But I'm going to abstain because I feel like this week is focused on the fun of it. And if I go in,
I feel like you're dodging.
Oh, I am, because I'm not apologizing. I still think I'm right. But my point is, like, if I think I'm right, I'm going to have to tear things down, and I don't want to do that this week. What Judd is saying in the third person is he very much doesn't want to. There's no reason right now in my CBDO position on Vikings Twitter, there's no reason to delve into the world of why I wanted and ultimately think that a tweaking, especially a major tweaking, overhaul of some sorts with veteran players was necessary. There will be time for me to explain it. I don't think this is the week to do it.
Are you still saying though? I won't. We can get to it later in the season. But are you still saying that they should have hit the reset button? That there's a chance that was the right thing to do.
Yes, very much, very much. But I feel like delving into it right now serves no purpose.
Okay.
So let's get to it. Let's see where things go. That does not mean, by the way, this team can't be good. But yes, I still feel like there was a missed opportunity, not necessarily by the people who are running football ops right now, but by the Wilfs. And I've sort of seen them do this before. And let's just say that I would love to have a position at TCO as the head of culture and foresight.
Okay, but again, it was based on what we've seen all off season and based on what we saw in week 1. There's very obviously some juice here.
Yes,
it needs to manifest in results. Right. But I think I'm not going to play the results here. The process that we've seen all throughout the offseason and the process that led to what we saw in week 1, they were right. Like they saw something. They saw another level here, and a lot of fans are like, "Yeah, you guys are just too negative." And I don't know, right. Maybe we are sometimes, but when you make a regime change, it's such an easy grace period to do what we were talking about, which is hit the reset button, rip the Band-Aid off, and then have a bunch of young assets and find a young quarterback of the future. Yes. And you know what? There's probably a better chance that they have to do that at some point than right. win the Super Bowl. Right. But I am now fully on board with, okay, I'm really curious to see the rest of this season play out, and I'm fully willing to admit that their instinct was correct, that this partnership with Kevin O'Connell and this roster, that there was more meat on the bone. So
yeah. The only thing I'll say is this. The short-term sugar highs can be really fun.
Yeah, and this is definitely a short-term sugar high.
And Favre was too.
They get pounded by the Eagles, then maybe I backtrack.
Yep,
I don't know.
The short-term, but again, the graphic says on our screen, Mackey admits he was wrong, and I admire that. And you're under. Let's be very clear here. The board has you under far more pressure than me.
Well, this is why I am a collaborative CEO. Okay, it is not a dictatorship.
Well, and you beat out a lot of people. I mean, for you to get that job was a major upset.
Yeah,
you beat out a lot of people, some very powerful media types in town to be named.
It's pretty crazy.
To this
job.
job.
I mean, I'm honored. I'm honored that the board of directors just saw something in me and believed in me, and I am willing to admit and be the noble man. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong about things.
And you are now speaking for all Vikings fans. Like that's the thing about this that I think is hard for people to accept. Like Phil Mackey speaks for Vikings fans.
Yeah,
so you got a lot of pressure on you.
It's tough for some people to accept. Some people are still like, must have pained you to tweet those positive things about Kirk Cousins. No, I mean, if you go look historically, I think, just because I have opinions about, by the way, it's become controversial to point out over the years the flaws that have prevented Kirk Cousins and his teams from being above 500. It's like you didn't believe. It's like, no, dude, look at, if we're getting this version of Kirk on a regular basis, this is a different version of Kirk than we've seen in the past. So real quick, what are people saying about the Minnesota Vikings here on this Wednesday? Let's go to theringer.com, where they have unveiled a fresh batch of power rankings. Now, we did our pigskin pecking order earlier this week on the show, and we collectively had the Vikings fifth, the fifth best team in the league. Judd had him 8th, I had him 6th, Declan had him 3rd, and the average is 5th. So the Ringer has the Buffalo Bills number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs number 2, the Tampa Bay Bucks number 3, the Chargers are 4th, and that category is best of the best. So they've got best of the best: Bills, Chiefs, Buccaneers, Chargers.
Okay.
The next category is flawed deep postseason contenders. They still have the Packers 5th on this list.
Okay.
They've got the Rams 6th, the Ravens 7th, the Bengals 8th. And then the next category is should be playoff teams. And that's where the Vikings sit, 9th.
Yep.
In this collection of 20 preseason power rankings aggregated by Renee Bugner, only Football Outsiders was higher on the Vikings than I was, the author here, entering week 1. After a dominant 23-7 win over the Packers, I'm moving them up 2 spots from 11 to 9. First-year head coach Kevin O'Connell, currently plus 800 to win Coach of the Year. I think we have to revisit that for next week for write that down. Because didn't Dex have a prediction? Okay, we'll get to that next week.
Yeah.
He led an offensive fireworks show against what many of us thought would be the most talented defense, or one of the most talented defenses in the NFL. Cousins and Jefferson connected for 184 and 2 touchdowns in a truly dominant display that should prove sustainable with O'Connell pulling the strings.
Wow. And I want to say that I believe the ESPN rankings took the Vikings from like 23rd, right, Dex, to 10th.
Yeah, the 10. This is the
So
highest
like
jump.
they are top 10. Like it's hard to debate that right now.
Well, Pro Football Talk bumped him from 22nd to 18th. 18th?
It's because Florio is such a Vikings fan that he's grown to hate them, in my
Well,
opinion.
dude, move off. Like,
I agree.
right now, there is no argument for 17 teams being better than them. Now, in 3 weeks, okay, but like right now, you're just clinging to a wrong take if you think they're the 18th best team in the NFL.
Well, and
That's
my
absurd.
question is this: after week 1, forget the Vikings for a second. Who else besides like that top 5 looked good enough where you definitively say, "Oh, this is the 6th best team"?
Yeah,
Like
I mean, right now, it's to me, it's in terms of teams that really have it all together.
Right.
The Bills, the Chiefs, I think the Chargers, maybe the Buccaneers, but even the Buccaneers are like, you know, Tom Brady's 45. They lost some key pieces, so anyhow. There you go. There's your Write That Down Wednesday accountability
apology.
session and an apology from your Vikings Twitter and Purple Daily CEO. Yes.
Let's all bow to the CEO.
All right, that's a wrap. Tomorrow we dive into the state of the Vikings offense, which should be fun. I'll bring some interesting trends and statistics, plus a random Viking of the week. Please click the subscribe button on the Purple Daily YouTube channel so that you can be right there, front row seat for Vikings Vent Line after every single Vikings game, the most fan-friendly interactive show in all of Minnesota sports. See you guys tomorrow.